Okay, so picking up exactly where we left off, in this tutorial what we're going to do is we're going to add the room, our first room, to this. Then we're going to add, duplicate that a couple times and create a couple other smaller rooms that we'll be using to attach to these doors and extending out. So what I need you to start with is we're going to, again, go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Cube. That's going to set up right in the middle. And we're going to scale this up to room size. So for our rooms, we're going to go with a 12. We're going to change the Y to 10 and our Z to 12. Now these are really arbitrary, but we can adjust them as we need to. Again, we're going to jump ahead. We're going to move right away and change our pivot point. Press the D key, the V key, click on the green arrow, and slide it right down. Okay, we're then going to move this straight up to the bottom. Now, for what we need to do, we need to have this out of the way. So even though we have it locked in on the level we want to, we're going to move it over and just kind of shift it to the side. Next thing we're going to do is create a bay window for this. So we're going to go to face mode, and we're going to choose this face, the face looking away from the doors. And we're going to go and extrude this. So we're going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude. Now what's going to happen is the new tool is going to come up, and now we can adjust this and do a couple different things. Personally, we just go out a little bit here. We're going to extrude, pull out this way along the blue arrow, and then we're going to bring in the sides with the red arrow. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we can actually bring this, let's bring this back a little bit more there. I'd like it to be a little bit more flat for the bay window. And we can click somewhere else and we're complete there. Now to finish the windows, what we're going to do is we're going to shift click all three sides. Zoom in here a little bit. We are going to, once again, Edit Mesh. We're going to uncheck Keep Faces Together. And we're going to extrude again. Now this time what we're going to do is we're just going to bring them in on the sides and bring them in on the top. What that's going to do is create our window, but of course we are working in 3D, and what we'd like here is a window that can actually have some depth and have a sill. So we're going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude one more time, and what that will do is allow us to create a windowsill by clicking on the blue arrow and dragging out just a bit. Now our windowsill doesn't need to be too deep, but it gives us a nice effect. Plus, if we wanted to, it gives us the opportunity to maybe put a vase or something like that in the face. So we're going to click away. To clean this up, we just select the face we need, click delete, and that's it for the windows. On the other side, we're going to do the same process. We're going to select the face, Edit Mesh, Extrude, but this time all we're going to do is we're going to bring the sides in and bring the top down by clicking the green. Now this doesn't need to be exact. Even though this is going to be our door, we're going to line those up and snap those to the vertices in the hallway to make those work exactly. So for now, it's okay to leave it just like that. Click away, select the face, and click delete. And you can see here we have a nice setup door, clean and simple. We can then delete this bottom face as well because it's unnecessary. We don't need to worry about it. It's going to become part of the door, so we'll have these three sides, 1, 2, 3, that will be part of our door. We're then going to switch to vertex mode. Select our bottom corners and snap those directly to the floor below us. So we're going to again click V, click on the green arrow, and snap that right down. Now be careful when you're doing this that you are selecting just the green arrow so it goes straight down and not back to one of the other vertices throughout the entire space. Okay? Now what we need to do, of course, is move our room in position. So we have our room. We'll actually change the name of this now. We'll change this to room 1. Level 1, room 1. Underscore room 1. We'll select the entire object and move it down to the end. Now one thing that's nice to do here is to adjust our vertex again to make sure that it is right where we want it to be, right at where the door meets the wall. Our manipulator to meet the wall. So we'll scroll over here. We're going to switch to the perspective or orthographic. We're going to go to the top view. We're going to focus in on our room. Go to the wireframe. And again, we are going to press D and V, but this time clicking the right arrow and snap it right over. Now if we go back, we should, since we were already there, we should be back to where we need to be. Perspective, and it should be at the bottom of the room, right in the center of the door. Now we can actually take this and snap this right to where we want it to be by dragging on it, pressing V, and drag it straight to our next vertex. All right, and that's exactly where we want it to be. We want it to match up with the wall. We want it to align to the door. I like to center it up just to make sure. It's not necessary though, because again, we can set the room off to the side. The door doesn't have to be in the center of the room. We could always set it off to the side like this, so that this way it's saving a little space and you're entering more. So actually, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to set that off to the side here, and this will be a good example of how we can change these rooms to work for what you want and not exactly just keep it symmetrical in time. All right, so what we need to do first is delete this face on the back of the wall. Now, when we're working with game design, we want to save faces as much as possible. So we're going to select this back face here. Go ahead and delete it. We don't necessarily need it. We're not going to see it at any point. There's no point in texturing it, making sure that it has any UV mapping or anything like that. The next thing we need to do is make sure that our room is lining up with the door. To do that, we're going to go back to wireframe mode. And we are going to see that we have our vertices here. We have one here, we have one here, we have one here, and we have one here. Okay, let me make sure that when I'm using my select tool that I have my camera-based selection off for this example, because I want to be able to select points that I can't necessarily see. See, with the camera, I can't see that that's there, only in wireframe. So, but I want to be able to use them, so I'm going to select that here. And I'm going to press V, and I'm going to select and move it and snap it to the outer corner of my door. So just like this, I'm going to snap that one, snap this one, snap that one over, press V again. You can always tell when you're pressing V that it turns into a circle. Now if we go back to the frame shaded mode, you can see how perfectly our door lines up. If you go through, you can actually look through and see how our door frame lines up perfectly with our room. Now again, of course, I set this up to be a little off. It doesn't have to be. You could set it up square. You could set it up however you want. And of course, the room has retained its shape from its original. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create 2 more of these rooms just by duplicating. Command D. And I'm going to slide them down, pressing X. I'm going to shift these to say here and then here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the first room, a closet here. I'm going to create the second room, and then I'm going to have a storage closet, perhaps a maintenance room, and then the last room. So to change it, all I really need to do is adjust my vertices. So I press 4, and I can scroll in a little bit more here to align my doors, and I can move my door just as easy as I did before by highlighting and pressing V and snapping it, oops, to the right vertex in space. Okay, that's one. And now I can scroll out on the last one here. Press F, scroll in, exact same concept. Select the vertex, highlight, press V, move it over here. Just like so. And now we have 3 rooms ready to go, exactly the same, and we can shift that down to the edge if we wanted to. We could move a couple different things if we needed to. All right, so what I want to do is add a couple simple square rooms to match up with these so that they could serve as a storage closet or something like that, something that your player or your character could walk into, maybe find a health pickup or something of that nature. So we'll go to Panels, Orthographic, we'll go to Top. We'll focus out a little bit, make sure we have a full zoom here so we can get an idea of the exact size we're going to want to be comparative. So we're going to create polygon primitives cube, and we can actually just scale this up. We know our scale Y is going to be 10. We're going to want that to be the same height. And then our X will start with 10, and we'll do 10 in our Z as well, just to give us a good starting point. This is actually going to be fully adjustable. We're going to move to our side perspective again, press the D key, the V key, click on the green arrow, drag it down, press X, move it up to the ground level, and return to our top view to position it in place. Now, I like to hold the X key, have this set up so we can drag this as we need to, but we don't necessarily have to do that. So we've got this here. Now what I like to do is just scale to the closest room where the point looks normal. So I'm going to select the edge here, I'm going to highlight around it, press X, and I'm going to snap it so that it lines up exactly with this one on the other room. And I'm going to drag this one so it splits the difference here. So we can take this room now, duplicate it, slide it down, and create another room for our player to walk into. Again, selecting the edge, we can fill the space here if we want to. We don't have to, but like I said, I like to take as much opportunity for pickups and things like that as possible. You could always put some nice shelves. It'd be a great place to store an enemy in here to sneak out, and you always go into the second room and there he is. And and then we'll click away, select the object again, duplicate it, and slide this one down in between. Now of course it's already too big, so we can actually select the edge here and drag that up so that it is about that one block away, which gives you a semblance of a real space, that there's always room in between the walls. It also helps when you're working with sounds. Now of course what I haven't done here is I haven't created any windows and I haven't created any doors, but you could very easily do that. We could again go to our extrude function if we wanted to. At the same time, how many times have you gone into a bathroom or a storage room and they don't even have a window? So that works in your favor as well. What you will need to do is add on some doors. So we need to select the face for this object. We're going to select the face on the other side, like so. We can actually click through that door and do edit mesh, extrude, bring in the door, and bring it down the exact same way that we did with the other doors to adjust and get our vertex. We can then click away, select the face, select that one, delete, select this one, delete, select the vertex, and snap those to our position where we want them to be. So we'll move that here, again selecting the move tool, V snaps there, press down the V, snaps there, V snaps to that door, V snaps to that door. Alright, now you can go ahead and continue to do this with the rest of those, but for now I'm going to move on, and we're going to make sure that we can do the next step, which is going to be create an auditorium or a cafe, a patio on the outside, and then a space over here for a large room, perhaps for a telescope or something of that nature.